Can you guys hear that outside? It's pouring out. And was it nice out yesterday? It's pouring out today. So I wouldn't have taken off anyway. I only take off in the nice weather. So I just made myself and got a pleasant surprise. I thought I was going to be heavier even if it did after a day of fasting. Last time after my day of fasting I was 165.6. I'm 163.8. And I still plan to cool it for these next couple of days. So we'll see what I weigh on Monday. I plan to cool it these next couple of days. I fasted yesterday, but I still walked Omar for 3 walks, like 40 minutes, and then like 35 minutes. He didn't go poop with the last walk. It's pouring out, but I'm not my mom, and I take him out in the rain. I slept 12:10 a.m. to 5:50. It's not bad. Almost 6 hours, like 5.5 hours. Not bad. Not enough, of course, but, you know, better than going to bed at, at least I went to bed at 12:10 and didn't wake up at 3, you know. It's better than me going to bed at 3 in the morning. I need to stop doing that anyway. I wonder if my mom went to that new hospital yesterday. I haven't listened to my messages. If she's in the new hospital, I'll call her today just to see how it's going for her, you know. You itching your head, Omar? Really pouring out, but believe me, he's not even gonna want to go out in that. He'd rather not, because he peed a tiny bit just now on my pillow while I was weighing myself. I took him with me to go to the bathroom, because I don't trust him not to pee on my bed, and then he did it quick, just a tiny bit while I was weighing myself. Brat. You brat, Omar. He doesn't care. He's not bothering me to go out. He wants to go back under the covers and go back to bed. You want to go back to bed, huh? You want to go back to bed under the covers, huh? Huh? You little boy? He probably knows. You know it's raining out. Don't ya? Don't ya? Don't ya? Don't ya? My mom, when she's sick, is so childlike. Actually, truth be known, even when she's not sick. Because when she wasn't sick, she was still saying she was going to win this case. And the statute of limitations almost ran out. You know, they settled out of court. She didn't want to go to court. And if they had gone to court, she might not have got a penny, she and Mary. But they wound up get $53,000 each. So, you know, that was whatever. I don't know how it works with lawyers. Does a lawyer get a third, and then or lawyer gets half, and then they each split half? So they settled it for like $200,000 or so. I don't know. All I know is it didn't go to court. My mom was happy, and the statute of limitations, it kept dragging on. It finally, they got the money, but my mom used to always say, no, she'd talk about, if I win this, I'm going to win this case and get hundreds of thousands of dollars, Laura, and I'm going to get your songs published. And now when she's sick, it's even bigger. She's like, I want to publish your songs, Laura. Oh, yeah, it's not that easy, but they're beautiful, Laura. Yeah, Mom, life doesn't work that way. You're as bad as that guy who saw me waiting for the bus in Hollywood at 2 or 3 and 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And you're too beautiful to be waiting for the bus. You know, he's like, why are you waiting for the bus? And I said, I have no money. He's like, be in movies, you'll make $1 million for a picture. I laughed. I'm like, yeah, it's not that easy, stranger. You know. I said that was a scary existence. I'm glad I don't do it anymore. The slight reward wasn't worth all the knowing. Just knowing and just like, God, I'm such a loser in life, and I have to wait for the goddamn buses at 2 and 3 in the morning, just for a little bit of normalcy, like I said, a little bit of normalcy at Spotlight Bar, where I could just be, nobody knew I was, living under the good graces of my ex-boyfriend and his devout Christian mother, my ex-boyfriend who had nearly killed me in 2008 and not cared, nobody knew I was on welfare, nobody knew I was practically, virtually penniless, I got drunk ahead of time. Sometimes men would buy me drinks there too, Like I said, it wasn't just gay guys that went to Spotlight Bar, it was a hoppin', it was a, it'd been around a long time, and people liked it, and karaoke night was awesome. Karaoke night was the bomb, and they had a jukebox there that had awesome music, So when in between the karaoke breaks, people would play the jukebox, and but in any case, I didn't get drunk there. I got drunk ahead of time. I was too poor to be getting drunk there. But nobody would ever know in a million years who I was, any more than you'd know if you were sitting next to like a serial killer. You know what I mean? You don't know who anybody is. But the price I had to pay, like I said, that's why I wouldn't stay till closing till 2. I would leave by 12. The price I had to pay was hours getting home to Donald's, hours getting home on the buses. You'd wait a long time at night for the bus. They ran 24 hours, but, you'd wait a long time for both buses. And I told you a couple times I walked like 11 miles all the way back home. I believe I found out it was a little under 11. It was around that. A little over 10, 10 and a half, 11, whatever it was. It took me all night, of course. And why did I do it? Looking back, I know why I did it. I did it to just taunt the universe, I guess. Try to dare the universe to, have something bad happen to me. Because remember, it was a Saturday night, or whatever it was, whatever night it was. I don't think karaoke night was on the weekend. That was during the week. But I don't think the nights I walked home, it was a different night, I think. It wasn't a karaoke night. It was a night I was just hanging out in Hollywood, I think. Just wandering around. I don't know. In any case, a couple times that I walked home like 11 miles. I also had my music, my MP3 player blasting in my ear the entire time. If that wasn't taunting the universe, I don't know what it was. But bear in mind, there's always people around. I walked on Main Road. Main Road. All the way home was Main Road. Okay, so, I mean, it was dangerous, but it wasn't that dangerous, all things considered. More dangerous to go home with somebody than walk home in the middle of the night 11 miles. Because I was on all main roads. And I believe it was a weekend, probably on the weekend. Whatever it was, there's always people. There's people around, and there's cars driving by, and, And I wasn't shit-faced. I started off a little tipsy, but by the time, you're into the miles, it's kind of worn off. I did it just to do it. I did it because I don't like this world, and I did it to prove I could do it. And obviously got a shitload of exercise, burned a lot of calories, didn't I? And what else proved that I'm in incredible shape, because I was a hell of a lot heavier. I wasn't any lower than 200 pounds, so I was at least 200 pounds. I'm 163 right now, So I might have been more than 200 pounds, but I wasn't any less than 200 pounds. Even at 200 pounds, I was in incredible shape. I mean, I'm talking physical stamina. I'm talking about if I can walk home from Hollywood 11 miles, that's got to tell you something. And I know it was 11 miles because I Googled it later. I put in, whatever, Chinese theater from Hollywood Square to my doorstep. And I Googled it, so I know that it was that many miles. It was like, I know it was over 10. It was like 10 and a half, 10 points. It was something like that. And it was more enjoyable than waiting for the goddamn buses, It was just hell waiting for those buses. Sometimes they just didn't show up for a long, long time. It was the 217 and I forget which one ran all night, the 33 or the 333, but they were like the same thing, but one didn't run all night. And I wait a long, long time often. Nobody ever bothered me. Nobody ever messed with me. Even walking at night. My homeless friend Sam one time, because I walked everywhere at night all the time, but Sam's like, you know what? Look at you. You look like, he told me, he's like, no one's going to mess with you. Look at you. He looked like you could beat the shit out of somebody. So guys at night a lot of times tend to prey upon a woman who's, you know, is not as big as me, you know. My shelter friend later said the same thing. When the people in there were messing with me, she's like, why don't you just say, alright, you want to do this, meet me down at wherever, and we'll settle this there, you know. And I said, I can't do that. I don't even know how to fight. I've never been in a fight in my life. She's like, Laura, look at you. She's like, they're not going to show up. They don't know. You bluff them. Sam said the same thing, but just in a different way. Because I said, you know, I walk alone at night everywhere. Most of the time, I'm shit-faced. He's like, look at you. It's like, no one's going to mess with you. Because they just don't know. They'd rather pick easier prey, what they deem as easier prey, because they don't know that you can't beat the shit out of them. Oh, and just as an aside, when I was visiting Joe, he told me, you know, as a woman, the way you often get killed is you comply. He's like, you know what? Anyone grabs you, anyone, you know, you knee him in the balls, Laura. You just do it instinctively like an animal. You don't think, and you do it. Because in the end, look at, you know, a lot of times they're gonna kill you. You might have a fighting chance, just knee him in the fucking balls. That's what he told me to do. But all these years doing that, I was never messed with. No one ever messed with me. Nobody ever messed with me. Like I said, I was lucky. Maybe I got an angel. Because I'm no match, you know, if more than one. I'm no match for a knife or a gun, you know. Donald thought he was invincible, and he would go out walking he'd be drunk, and he'd walk through alleys, or drunk or not, with Omar, and he had promised not to do that, but his promises mean shit. And the thing is, he thinks he's big and no one will mess with him. Yeah, but you're no match for a gun or a knife, Donald. That's the thing. And, you know, you want to risk your own life, fine. Don't risk my dog's life. But, of course, I had no say because I was shit in his eyes. I didn't want him doing that, though. Omar is a purebred pug, and I didn't even know he would continue doing it, because when I found out he was doing it before, I believe when I told him not to, asked him not to, but then he continued doing it. He let it slip one night. He's like, yeah, I was walking through the alleys. And he doesn't have to walk through the alleys. He can walk on the main road, you know. But he was walking through the alleys, and he said, yeah, some weirdo asked me for a cigarette. I'm like, what were you doing? You promised you wouldn't walk through that. Oh, Laura, shut up. Just shut up. Just, there's not a man alive who put up with you. And, you know, his usual spiel. If you didn't like what I had to say. Fuck him. Yeah, right back at you, babes. Not a woman alive who put up with you. You need it. Even your mom said so. His mom said so. He's like, Donald needs somebody, one of those women who come over, you know, the women who, you know, who just do anything to me, you know, yes sir, no sir, man, might wipe your ass, sir, you know. She had a friend who got one of those women. Of course, like she said, they secretly can't stand the guy, but you know, they want to be over here and have you know, so they come over and they marry him, and then they're now in the United States. That's what Donald would need. Someone who doesn't question him on anything, someone who just, you know, worships the ground he walks on. That's not me. As I was walking home yesterday, I was thinking, yeah, I do need to get therapy, if only to simply find some way to deal with my absolute hatred of Marion, because I'm thinking about her kids, you know, it's like, in the end, her children, her boys, are going to get my rightful inheritance. You think that's not going to dig at me? You think that's, you know, if anything happens to her, her boys are going to get my rightful inheritance. And it just, I mean, everything happens to her, you know. I mean, it just, it makes me sick, you know. It makes me ill. I hate her fucking guts. I hate her fucking guts. Oh, her criminal boys, I might add. Because remember, I have no qualms. Why would I? She can't do anything to me. You know, what is she going to do to my mother? I told my mom what to do. You think at the end my mom's going to do it? No. She'll be so happy to get out of the hospital. She's not going to do anything that will rock the boat. Plus, she's thrilled to death if any of the other family pay attention to her and she rocks the boat. They'll stop. So, like Joe says, you know, your mother throws you to the wolves in favor of those assholes that really don't even care about her all that much. And you're the one who loves her, you know. She talks big, but once she's out of there, in the end she'll cower, because Marion's too strong, and it just makes me ill. It makes me so fucking ill that I just want to fucking rip out all my hair, you know? There's no will. I would shit in my pants if there was really a will. There's no will. Marion has this all planned. And it looks to the outside world that that's exactly how my mom wanted it. My mom has a daughter, but she has Marion as her power of attorney. Adorable power of attorney that ever, you know what I mean? And if anything happened to my mom without a will, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on. And any of you people who would think, well, you know, Mary's been taking care of your mom all these years, so she really deserves all that because she's supposed to, as her power of attorney, be making like that. And she tells my mom, well, my mom would say to me, well, Marion's not taking a penny, or if I had an outside person, they would be taking money to handle my money. Yeah, you're right, Mom. But in the end, you don't even need all that fucking money, so what you're really talking about is screwing over your daughter, you know? There's no fucking will. There's nothing. I know there's not. And Marion, in the end, we have to not ever forget that you think she spent her life on this case. It dragged on for 7 years, but it was only periodically they'd have to go to court, or periodically Marion would have to sign some papers or do what, you know what I mean? And in the end, she put $53,000 into her own fucking pocket, okay? Not to mention the fact that we all know she's going to get my mom's money too. My mom can't possibly spend all that money. What would she spend it on? She's certainly not allowed to spend 1 penny on her daughter, you know. What would she spend it on? So it's all fucking bullshit. It makes me ill. But it makes me more ill if my mother doesn't do the right thing and start telling the truth. See? That makes me more ill than the money aspect. You know? My mother's not strong enough, so it's just... Oh my honey, it is fucking pouring out. He's gone back to bed. He doesn't care. I think he knows it's pouring out. He hears it. And, you know... Surprise, surprise, he doesn't want to go in the rain. We went out in the rain last night. It wasn't pouring out like this. Did I know this was going to happen? No. I had no idea it was going to be horrible weather when I planned to really, you know, do a mini detox, mini whatever. I don't know if you can hear him over the rain, but he's snoring, so he's in a different reality now. I don't know what the deal was with him and my mom. He knew she was a pushover and I'm not. I don't know. But he ain't running. He's not bugging me to go outside, is he? And he only peed a tiny bit on my pillow. I have to wash the case. On my... That's not all the pee that's in him. Guarantee that. I'm snoring. My little Chiquita banana. Mama's little Chiquita banana, huh? I'm Chiquita banana, here to be feel. Just buttercup banana. I'm not tired. This is the kind of day that I could get up for a few hours and then take a nap. Why not? I'm not even going to bother taking my sheets and stuff down. I didn't take them down yesterday either. It's not nice out. Why bother? I'm bring my 30, now it's like 27, 28, but my close to 30 gallons of water up here and put them in the closet. They don't need to be down on the dining table. I didn't rush to look for a new place to stay either. I mean, I don't want to leave, you know, I mean, even if he was going to leave, he's lived here a long, long time. not always alone, but still he's lived here a long time, and you know, I'm sure he's gonna still, you know, give the landlord a month's notice. So I mean, I didn't want him to remove his dog, but I told him when he removed, I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna just rush out of here. I'm not. I'm not just gonna rush out of here, you know. This is mid-month and I already paid the rent. I'm sure I'll pay next month's rent, you know. I didn't tell him to remove his dog. I just told him I'm going to be careful around the dog. I let him know that I have to leave, you know. And he said, I mean, he did that. That was on him. And if whoever has the dog can't keep the dog, then bring the dog back here. I feel safer with the dog here anyway. I'm going to ask him why the goddamn deadbolt doesn't lock. Paying $1,600 a month to live here and the goddamn deadbolt doesn't lock. You know, I didn't care before because it was the dog, you know. Nobody's going to come in. No one's going to do anything with that goddamn dog. You know? People tend to avoid houses that they hear a big dog barking inside. I mean, criminals, crooks. Not that that's always the case, because a dog is no match for a gun, but still, in general, you know, it's a deterrent. Put a big beware of dogs sign up, and even if you don't have a dog, it's a deterrent. And we have that pen outside, you know, and that doesn't mean you have a big dog inside, but he would always bark at everything. So I'm just saying, I'm not rushing to get out of here. And I don't have to. I don't have to rush to get out of here. I already paid this month's rent. And then if I was going to leave, you know, you give 30 days notice. But you usually give 30 days notice. You don't give 30 days notice mid-month. I've already paid this month's rent. You give 30 days. I mean, that's how it normally works. You give 30 days notice from the beginning of the month, you know. A lot of times you pay first and last month's rent. I didn't have to do that with him. It was a different situation, you know. That's why Joe was asking me. It's like, do you have the run of the house, or are you just like renting a room? I'm like, well, what's the difference? But there is a difference. There are people that rent out a room, and you know, you're allowed to make stuff in the kitchen, but probably those people really don't expect you to be hanging out in their living room with them, you know. You can share the kitchen, but I know what Joe meant. But no, this was me and him like sharing up. We were buddies, you know. And it was give and take. He'd take me anywhere, you know, bring me to the store whenever I asked him to, and I took care of his dog and cleaned up the dog shit in the pen, and you know, so in that aspect it was definitely equal, because I cleaned this house and I took care of his dog, and you know, and he brought me to the stores when I needed to go. But I didn't take advantage of that either, you know. And I also bought extra stuff for our house. Stuff that I'll take with me to my new home. You know, all the extra dish detergent, all that crap. But he can keep that $300 I gave him as a security deposit. Definitely won't be washing and drying my hair today, that's damn sure. Why would I do that when it's pouring out? I do miss this dog. Feels empty here without the dog. I'll probably never. My roommate will probably never be home now. I like him a lot. I hope it works out with his girlfriend. I actually hope that he and Bones can move in with his girlfriend, because even he told me out front, he's like, it's like impossible to find a place that will take my dog. I said, why? He's like, because he's part shepherd. I'm like, oh. He's like, those are like pit bulls, and people can't get homeowners insurance for shepherds, and so landlords won't rent out to a shepherd. So that makes me hope even more, because I care about the dog. I don't hate that dog. I don't hate the dog. But I feared that other night that the dog was going to bite Omar's face off, and I can't live with that kind of trauma, that kind of fear, It was justifiable. Too close for comfort. Too close for comfort. I watched those jaws, and they weren't controlling themselves like they do when he's playing with Omar. When he's playing with Omar, that wasn't him. He's not angry. He's snarling and vicious, and oh my God, it scared me. I'm telling you, it could have been my hand rather than Omar's face, because the dog was reacting instinctively. He wasn't controlling himself. Omar jumped back from those jaws. Those jaws didn't control themselves from biting Omar's face off. Omar jumped back. Well, I watched horror because Omar was just on my lap. Omar wasn't doing anything. And Omar was terrified because Omar was caught off guard. You don't expect that. They weren't playing, nothing. And he suddenly did that. No, I'm not going to deal with that shit. I've had enough trauma in my life, But that doesn't mean I hate the dog, It just means I need to protect my little thing, because Omar might think he's big, but he's just this little thing, He's He's this little thing. When that dog was humping him all the time, that's wrong too. That's being a bully, and then it made me realize what a little thing Omar is, because Omar would look up at me helplessly, like, Mama, why is this dog doing this to me? Why'd you put me in this environment, you know? And then go through that with Angel. Yeah, when Omar would get too rambunctious with Angel, she'd nip at him, but it's an even fight. They're both little dogs, okay? They're both little dogs. I rest my case. Anyway. You're just a little nothing, Omar. I'm apprehensive about this dog from day one. From the moment I saw how aggressive he was towards my little dog, much littler than him, and it liked that. Reminded me of, you know, when I had little animals and how, you know, a dog would just bat around if the little animal got out. Man, the piggies used to kill my little animals because they'd always escape. And it just reminded me of that, the way this dog was behaving towards Omar. You know, didn't like it. But it was fine until he did what he did 2 nights ago. Tell my roommate's dog, you know, that crossed over the line. Doesn't matter why he did it. If he did it to me, I wouldn't give a shit. I mean, I would care, but you know what I mean? It's just almost too little. I can't be living with the trauma, you know. I couldn't believe it while it was happening. I was watching it from, you know, Omar was just on my lap, Omar was half asleep. I mean, he had just stood up. I mean, I couldn't believe while it was happening, but you know what? How many times in my life have I said that? I can't believe this is happening. Recently with my mom. What the fuck is she doing? Why won't she go to bed? Why is she making this soup that throwing lemons in it with the labels still on them, you know, cooking up plastic and leaving the stove on and all the crap, what's wrong? You know, I couldn't believe any of that was happening, and I couldn't believe I was blown off by the police and her psychologist and all that, and then 8 days of hell. I couldn't believe anything was happening. So I couldn't believe when Omar and I were living on the streets of LA and couldn't find a place to stay. Couldn't believe that was happening. So a lot of my life has been, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But it is happening, okay? When my mom was chasing me up those stairs and she turned into an animal and she was going to hurt me, and I had to run away from my own mother who, you know, loved me more than life itself, you know, and her illness had done that to her, and she was so strong. You know, my door didn't lock, so I leaned against it, but she was stronger and she pushed it open and there was like this much, and I thought she was going to get in, and that would have been, she could have killed me, you know. But I was stronger. I found strength in me, and she gave up. She gave up, clawed on the door like an animal before she took off. I knew she wasn't out there anymore, and that gave me the opportunity to grab my bureau real fast and put it in front of the door, and then I was safe, you know. Then I put all my furniture in front of the door, and as we know, we went out on the ledge and started screaming. Eventually. First I just sat out there on the ledge because this was the second floor. But then the mosquitoes started eating me alive, so I started screaming. And neighbors called the cops. But, you know what I mean? I couldn't believe that was happening. My mother, who loves me, who had never laid one hand on me, never hit me, never done anything to me, even when she was so sick, mentally schizophrenic when I was little. Now she's chasing me upstairs. She's going to hurt me. What the fuck? And then, of course, when the police took care and I grabbed Munchkin, my cat, and drove over to my aunt's, someone who's dead now, and her daughters, and couldn't believe that was happening either, where I'm telling them what happened, and I'm like, you know, my mother could have killed me. Oh, your mother would never hurt you. Your mother loves you. You know, negating my feelings, negating my experiences, negating what I know had just happened, okay? So I couldn't believe that was happening either. You know, I just went through this trauma, and you're going to act like it. You're going to get mad at me for saying the truth. So yeah, there have been a lot of cases in my life where I couldn't believe this was happening. You know. And this that happened a couple nights was one of them. Couldn't believe how close that collie shepherd's sharp. I was close, those teeth this big, okay, were to my little baby's face. Couldn't believe it. I thought he was going to bite Omar's face off while I watched helplessly, because it happened so fast. I couldn't react. I couldn't put my hand up and stop him. I couldn't. He would have bitten my hand. But I didn't even, it was happened too fast for me to even think of doing that. I was in shock. You know, it happened too fast for me to even react. Fortunately, Omar was quicker. But he was terrified. He ran away in the other room. He knew what had just happened. He knew he hadn't done anything to provoke it. He knew they weren't playing. He knew that he had a reason to be afraid of Bones. Omar knew he didn't stay to be comforted by me. And you know he always wants to be with me no matter what. He ran in the other room. He ran in the other room, and I found him sitting on top of a blanket near his food, you know. He discovered that spot, but he never wants to be up there. He wants to be with me. He knew. He knew it was wrong what had just happened, what that dog had just done to him for no reason, unprovoked. And that's the bottom line. I told my roommate, you're great, your dog's not gentle. You're great, your dog is potentially vicious. I've experienced it firsthand with him, but it's not me I'm worried about. It's my little slip of a pug, you know, my little thing. He thinks he's a tough guy, but he's just a little thing, you know. And the fact that my roommate came home and Omar had escaped from where I'd barricaded him up here in the hallway. And he said, yeah, I came home, they were both sitting on the couch. Yeah, well, I don't care. What I saw scared me, and I don't care. You know, it's like until the next time. You know, I don't know if Omar forgets or he just makes do, you know. But they're certainly not cuddling together. They're certainly not what I would call friends. Definitely not. It's been over 3 months and they're still not friends, you know. What that dog did to Omar, you don't do to a friend. Right, little boy? What Bones did to you, you don't do to a friend, ever. I think I'm gonna eat something. Have my first body detox colon cleanse. Eat something. Feed Omar. I have to keep Omar with me at all times, of course, because he hasn't gone to the bathroom. And he doesn't want to go in the pouring rain any more than I do, but I'm not going to let him go in the house. He's learned to hold it with me, I told you that. He goes back to sleep and snores, doesn't, you know. I'll probably eat something and go back to bed. She thought she was going to the respite, and she has to go into another hospital before she can go into the respite. But apparently that was the only way she could get into the respite she wants to get into instead of a different one. I don't know. To me, it's all bullshit. I don't like the idea of her going to another hospital because brand new doctors, brand new whatever, they could determine that she's not well enough to leave, you know. They can do anything. I just don't like it. I'm sure the fact that she's been committed carries over to the new hospital. I mean, I don't know how it works. I just don't like it. Oh, and just as an aside, if I can help it, believe me, Joe will back me up on this one. I'm never going to take any kind of medication, not just psych meds, none. Do you know, by their own admission, the FDA has it posted on their website, so you can't call it a conspiracy theory, okay? It's posted on their website. All these drugs the FDA approves left and right. Approves left and right. They even approve, you know, whatever. They approve stuff that other countries ban, but in any case, all these drugs that the FDA approves left and right, deems completely safe for public consumption. 100,000 deaths per year. That's 1 million per decade. And on top of that, the 100,000 deaths from adverse reactions people have to all these oh so wonderful medications that the FDA approves as safe, you know. On top of that, 100,000 deaths per year, 200,000 serious injuries per year. So 1 million per decade deaths caused by all these medications that's making Big Pharma richer and richer as the body count piles up. And and 2 million per decade of serious injuries, maybe, whatever you want to call it, you know. And that's right on their website, so it's not a conspiracy theory, it's the fucking truth, indisputable fact. FDA just approves these drugs left and right, left and right, left and right. And, you know, these drugs that are killing and seriously injuring a shitload of human beings per year. So yeah, if I can help it, I'm not going to take anything. I don't even take fucking NyQuil anymore. I don't take aspirin, I don't take NyQuil, I don't take anything. Except for vitamins and stuff like that. Vitamins aren't killing people to the tune of 100,000 per year, 1 million per decade. And if they were, you know, the SWAT team would come in and blow all the health food store people away. I'm going to try to stay as, you know, well as I can. Continue doing my organic, continue taking my vitamins and my chlorella tablets and Bragg apple cider vinegar and you know, the healthy oils, the Bragg olive oil and you know, try not to get sick. I sat down next to a guy on the bus the other day who kept blowing his nose, and you know, that's commonplace in the winter. Pretty much everyone on the bus is doing that and is sick, but now that nobody is, I'm like, oh fuck, you know, I don't want to sit next to this guy who's sick and when most people are not sick now. So the first chance I had, I moved. First seat that opened up somewhere else, I moved. I don't want to sit next to someone who's sick, you know, when most people are not sick. It's different in the winter. I mean, everybody's sick in the winter, you know, on the trains and the buses and whatnot. But when someone's sick and it's nobody else around them is sick, you know, I'd rather try to sit somewhere else. And when I first had to go to that shelter, I was sick all the time. All the time. I even broke down and got a flu shot for the first and last time. It was the first time I ever did it, and I won't be doing that again either. Sick all the time. So horrible. And I went on a course of antibiotics and then stronger antibiotics because the sickness did not go away. It feels like it just comes back, but the doctor told me no, it just hadn't left. It was laying dormant and then it reemerges. You know. I have an online friend here too who has known me a long time. My email. He always tells me, you know, all the stuff he would want to do to me sexually and whatnot. Does it turn me on? Sure. Turns me on. I'm human, you know. But in the end, I just don't know. In the end, I don't even feel human anymore a lot of the times. In the end, I know I can have sex, obviously. I told you I used to do one-night stands like all the time. I didn't enjoy it, but that's another story. So I know that, you know. But you have to understand, Donald didn't just destroy my self-esteem methodically. He also would crawl on top of me when I wasn't even wet. And to him, I should be able to get wet by osmosis if I loved him, or I should be able to stay wet. And he was taking all the time experimenting with a shitload of psych meds, okay? So he would take forever. He'd be pounding in me forever. And of course I'm going to dry up, you know? But he took that. He even said it to me. He said it. If you loved me, you would stay excited. Oh my God. Now obviously I'm talking explicitly, so I'm going to age restrict this, that's all. I'm going to age restrict it. We're all big girls and boys, okay? Donald stopped during the last 3 years of our relationship. He stopped even, getting me off at the end, as quickly as possible. Okay? He stopped even doing that. But our sex life was horrible. It was horrible. The sad thing is it was so unenjoyable, but at least when he was I could feel closer to him when he was inside of me. You know what I mean? Even though it was so unenjoyable because it was only missionary. He never switched positions. There was like no foreplay. There was no loving anything, and it was just him crawling on top of me, and it was all about control with him. Never about mutual give and take. Nothing. And when I tried in the beginning of our relationship to do you-know-what to him, he didn't stay hard. He didn't stay. He wouldn't. And, that's a pain in the ass too, and that was because of all the psych meds he was taking. Okay? I never bothered again. Why? Why should I? I never had any problem with my one-night stands. But of course, he would blame that on me too, blame everything on my inadequacy. Everything was... And yeah, that is relevant. Everything I say is relevant. If you're someone who wants to try to understand me or analyze me, whatnot, it's all relevant because I became friends with that woman in the shelter, and she thought I should just be able to forget everything. You know, I can't read you her text. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that anyway. That's revealing someone's personal, you know what I mean? I wouldn't do that. But I can tell you the gist of it. You know, you need to forget about your past. You need to just, when I was saying, no, I'm going to need a guy who's really, really into me, into my body, and understands that I come from an abusive background, you know, and who's patient and just, you know, brings out the animal in me, because it's definitely there, but you've got to be able to bring it out, you know. And she was like, oh, you know, your fault, you just let it go, and you did it, you know, she's no empathy, no, just. The thing with her, I should have known, because she was up front with me in the beginning. She told me, she's like, I lack compassion or whatnot in me, and so I like to be around people like you who are so compassionate, and, you know. Yeah, but what about me? It's foreign to me, your kind of attitude, you know. So it is all relevant, even when it comes to what kind of friends I choose or what, you know. Because she had a lot of good qualities, and she was a shitload of fun, and she was so confident. But in the end, she was too much for me to be around, too much for me to handle being around without, you know, losing my own sense of self, or losing my own morality that to her was cute, you know, that with her was you know. Proof is this. I'm telling her that I've never been able to find a guy who both turns me on intellectually and sexually, i.e. that I'm sexually really, really compatible with, and intellectually, mentally compatible with. And she goes, well, you know, you don't want to have something on the side. You know, if you had something on the side, you could have the best of both worlds. And I'd already told her up front how I felt about cheaters and all this crap. So see how she's kind of belittling, or just, you know, that's my sperm type of morality, and to her it's just cute, or it's just unnecessary, and, you know, so I didn't like that, and I didn't like that she smoked cigarettes, and I had to breathe it in, and, you know, but I tolerated those things in her that I didn't particularly care for, because there's a lot of good things I liked, you know. But in the end, I don't think she was able to grant me the same consideration or be empathetic in regards to my faults, admitted faults and insecurities and whatnot. And if I ever meet a guy like that, it would be the same thing, you know. I don't care how physically you turn me on or whatnot. I'm gonna say hasta la vista, baby. And with her, I enjoyed having her friendship, but in the end, you know, and Beach Guy made me hot every fucking word that came out of his mouth, but I knew he would not be a sensitive lover. I knew he would not be, you know, considerate of my needs or the things that I can't help, because I come from an extremely abusive background, you know. And then recently, with all those years, was Donald. And in the end, he would only, in the last 2.5, 3 years, I knew he was despising me, but he'd still crawl on top of me only when he was shit-faced, right? Can you imagine how it made me feel that he's pounding away into me only when he's shit-faced and whatnot? And then when he, you know, finishes, I beg him to do what he'd always done before, even, you know, albeit as quick as possible, and even that wasn't really anything to write home about, but still better than nothing. Okay? And he would say no. You know how that makes a woman feel? And he'd smirk and he'd say no. And I'd paid him a little bit more. go clean his cum off my stomach and hate him a little bit more. Is that real enough for you people?